So I'm going to do the sewing 1 centimetre from along the whole of the top edge, right sides together. So line that up. And start and reverse at the beginning and the end. Line. And reverse at the end there. So sewn that top edge, right sides together. And then once you've done that, if you're doing 2 pockets, do the same again. And then we're going to fold it over and press it down so that the wrong sides of your pocket are together. And then if you'd like to, you can always do a top stitch along that top edge if you want to. If not, you are ready to get one of your outer pieces. Mine's cut out of oilcloth there. Get one of your outer pieces, and we're going to place this pocket and line it up along the bottom. So get it in place so that it matches up at the side and the square cutouts at the bottom, and then just pin that in place. And you're actually going to sew round all of the bottom area there, not along the top, but around all of here. So normally when we come to pulling out the square bases, when we're joining the sides, we don't sew round these, but because we're just making this pocket become part of this outer piece, we are actually just making it attached to that front panel. So again, if you've got 2 of those, repeat the same for the other side. And then if you want to sort of crease down the center and do a top stitch down that line as well, then you'll have 2 separate pockets, or you might just want to leave it open and have 1 open pocket, or do one with a divider pocket, and if you've got one for the back, maybe leave it all open. So that's your next step with the pockets. And then just to say, yeah, it's edge of your foot, so half a centimetre seam allowance for this. So thanks for checking with that. Yeah, it's just the edge of your foot, just so that when we then join the bag together using a 1 centimetre seam allowance, we won't see any of that stitching. So we're just using the edge of the foot, half a centimetre seam allowance for that. So what I've done now is sewn round with the edge of the foot, half a centimetre, all the way round the pocket piece to hold it in place. So went round those squares, which we don't do when we're putting the bag together, but I've gone round all of that with the edge of my foot. It is tricky top stitching on oilcloth without a walking foot or a Teflon foot to stop it slipping. So I did actually flip this over and sew it on the back. Obviously, if I now do want to do this top stitch down the middle, I'd be better off changing my foot to a Teflon foot or a walking foot so I could sew that line. So with saying that, I might leave this sort of pocket without a line down it. So you do that for all the pockets that you want to add to your desktop tidy, either 2 for the front and back of the outer of it, and if you want to add any onto your lining pieces, do that now as well. And once they're all on, your next step is to get your other outer piece, whether or not it's got a pocket on as well, and you're going to put right sides together like this, and that's when we are now just going to sew down this one long edge, this edge here, all the way off where the square is, not around it, and then all the way along the bottom with a 1 centimetre seam allowance, and leave that top edge open. So you're sewing 1, 2, 3 lines. So I've sewn 1 centimetre down this side, 1 along the bottom and 1 up the other side, and started and reversed at the beginning of all of the lines so it didn't come undone. And your next step is to pull the base out like this, So you're meeting your side seam and your base seam now, pulling it so that they meet and you get sort of this right angle shape there, that T-junction. If you push one of your seams, the back seam one way and the other one the other, it will just help it lie flat there. And then the same on the other side. Just make sure you push your seam allowance the same way for each base piece. Pull it out, match the top edge, match the side seams so that they meet in the middle, and then push one seam one way and one the other. Help it lie flat. And then what we're doing is going to sew 1 centimetre across those. So right off the edge here and straight across here. So start and reverse at the beginning and the end. That's one sewn. One seam pushed one way and one the other, and then I'll do the other side. First at the end there. So once you've sewn the base in place by pulling the squares out, you turn it out now the right way. It's oilcloth, lift it. So you'll either have now one pocket on the outside or one on both sides. Out there with your finger, the bases. Two. That's all sewn. Come back there. You can put that to the side. And now you're going to sew your lining pieces in the same way. So right sides together, you might have pockets on the inside one, you might not. You're doing the same with the 3 lines, but with this one, you're going to leave about a 10 centimetre gap, so in the bottom. So instead of going all the way along this line, you're going to sort of start and reverse here at the edge of the square to that gap, leave the gap and do that last bit of the line off the end there where the square is, and the 2 long sides. So I've sewn down the lining each side and along the base, but left a gap, and then repeat the same again. Pull out square bases and pull it so that the side seam meets the bottom seam. Match those up so it's at a T-junction, a right angle there. Press one seam one way and one the other. Pin in place, and then the same on the other side. And sew those.
Just checked my little bag.
So leave your lining piece inside out and your outer's the right way round, and we're just going to drop the outer inside the lining and match side seams together. Again, push one seam one way and one the other way. And that in place. And same on the other side. And if you pin it all the way round, and if you sew round the top with a centimetre seam allowance all the way around the top of the bag, and then we've got the gap there to pull it through. A few more pins in. Helps pull out the arm of the sewing machine there, so you can feed it all the way around. And reverse at the end. So once the bag's pulled through the hole in the lining, you can stitch that up on the machine or hand slip stitch that gap. Pop your lining inside, and then ease it to lie flat, and then you just fold over this top edge. So, and then as your desktop tidy, you can play around with how much you want that top edge folded over, or you might even want to just leave it unfolded and up, and you can keep all your sewing bits and bobs in there.